Welcome back. Now we're going to move into the third part of this, and what we want to do is be able to display all the data that's in a database. So let's go back to our main activity, and we're going to add another button. Now this button here, we're just going to call it View All. So let's change the ID. We'll call it View. The text, View All. There we go. Now let's go ahead and go to our database handler. In our database handler here, we want to go ahead and add another method. And this method we're going to call getAllRecords. So public. And this time, instead of doing a Boolean or a void, we're going to call cursor. Because cursor is an object that allows us to grab all the data or all the objects in a database. And so let's call getAllRecords. Now in this situation, we are not passing anything in, so we don't have to worry about parameters. But we are going to need to open a connection to a database. So let's go into our SQLite helper. We're going to do database equals this dot. Now we've been doing writable, but we don't really need to write at this point. We just need to get to the readable aspect of things. And now we're going to run a query. So let's call cursor res is equal to my database dot. We're going to do a raw query, and that raw query is going to say the following: select asterisk, which means all records, from the table. So now that we've got that data, now we're going to return this data because we need to break it up in a format that is understandable to display. So let's go ahead and go to our main activity. And inside of our main activity, the first thing we need to do is come back up here. We need to create a new button object. And we call this one View. Come down here. We'll go ahead and add it. There we go. It's added into there. Now let's go ahead and create a new method. And this new method, we're going to go ahead and call it ViewAll. So public void. Just like before, we used a button to display the data, or to insert data into the database. We're going to use a button to display all the data. So therefore, we're going to need another button listener. So we're going to do button view dot onset click listener. Create a new view onset click listener. Now that we're inside here, now we're going to set up the information so that we can display it out to the user. So let's start off with the first part. Let's go ahead and, so cursor res equals database handler dot get all records. Now, if our res dot get count is equal to 0, basically that's going to tell us that there's nothing in the database. And for temporary purposes, I'm just going to put show message. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. So now we know that there is data in there. So now we need to create a string buffer, just like we've done in Java before. We'll call it buffer equals new string buffer. And now what we're going to need to do is use a while loop to iterate through the data. That way we can pull it apart. So let's go ahead and do that. So while res.move to next. So it's going to go to each record. Inside here, we're going to go ahead and do buffer dot append. And now we're going to put in the information ID colon parenthesis plus. Now we're going to use res dot get string. And then we have to put the index number that it's located in. In this case, it's index 0. And I'm just going to put a new line there to make it nice and pretty. And we're going to do the same thing for the other two. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we've done that. Now let's go ahead and we have to display the data after we've gone through the while loop and it's realized that there's nothing else in there. So now we need to show the message. So let's go in outside of here and let's create a method called show message. Inside of this, we're going to pass in two pieces of information. First is going to be the title that we want to give it. And the second part is the actual message. Now we're going to use the alert dialog builder to display the information. So we use alert dialog dot builder is equal to new alert dialog builder. And we're going to use the context of this. Next, we want to set the builder. We want to set it to cancelable. And we're going to put that to true. Now, we can go ahead and edit and add information to the message. And in this case, we want to say builder dot set title. And the title we're going to set to just title. Next, builder dot. We want to set message, and then to message. And then last but not least, we need to be able to show that information. Now that we've got that, we can go back up here into our message area. And inside here, we're going to do show message. The string that we're going to put in here is, for the first one, is error. And then nothing found. Otherwise, what we're going to do is show message again. We're going to pass in the title, which is data. And then we want to pass in the buffer and put that to string. And at this point, that's really all there is to it. So let's go ahead and try running it. So I've already got one record in there, so let's go ahead and add another one. We'll say Bob, country, China. Let's go and insert. Let's click on View All. Oh no, it didn't work. So why did this not work at this point? Well, it's really simple, because remember what I told you to begin with? When we do these onset listeners, we need to add them to another location. So it's recognized, and that is at this point right here. So go here, we need to add in View All. Now let's try running it again. If I click on View All, there's my information. I added in Steve, US, and Bob in China. Just to make sure it's still working, test, Mexico. Data was inserted, View All, now I have 3 records. That's it for this video.